what got you headed towards real estate, and what was the first I want to be a realtor?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I've always wanted to help people. I've always been really helpful. My mom was a single mom, so I always took on that kind of caregiver kind of like personality, and because of me being like her little sidekick, I was always able to kind of feel put my feelers out and kind of see what people need, because I'm just like, hey, let me help you, let me help you. So I don't know. I always wanted to be a real estate agent. My mom bought her first house when I was 14, and I thought it was so cool because this agent, she became like a friend of ours, and I don't know her
Hmm.
name. I don't know where she was from. She must have been an angel. I don't know.
And this was
But
in Salem.
this was in Woodburn.
Okay.
And so um, every Thanksgiving she would leave a pumpkin pie on our doorstep. And I would like walk out for school or walk out the door and I'm like, a pie, and she did it for a few years and I
Hmm.
was like, oh my gosh. And my mom was like, oh, so sweet, but she never forgot about us. And I thought that was so cool.
Right.
And she kind of left that impression and I was like, well, one day I want to do that. Well, years and years go by and, life unfolds and um, I did my rap thing my whole 20s. I started when I was 17, didn't stop until I was about 29 or 30. And, I was like, okay, time to grow up, get a grown up job, start kind of making moves for yourself because everybody's life is just moving on. Everybody that I knew was married or had children and so I started working for the state of Oregon. And then after that, I worked at Wells Fargo for a long time. After that, COVID hit. And COVID really put a damper. Like, I don't know what it was. It just, everybody had to work from home.
Hmm.
I had to be at my home office. And I was just staring at a wall for 8 hours a day and wondering why I was getting depressed, wondering why I was sad, wondering why I couldn't even see my work friends anymore. And I was like, oh, this is not good. It's not an ideal situation for me. And I started really thinking, like, what is it that you want to do? What do you want to do? And I was like thinking back to a time where I was like, I don't even know because I did some college and I was going for entrepreneurship. Um, but even then, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to store. I didn't know if I wanted to make an investment in something. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. Then I thought, I really put my thinking cap on, and I was like, okay, well, what better person or thing to invest in than myself? So I was like, let's try it out. So that's how I got into real estate. Just thinking back of how can I make people happy? How can I serve my community? How can I be successful and then also get out of that 9 to 5 routine,
Right.
where I'm in charge of my own schedule. So I thought real estate.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that is definitely this business. I mean, there's no limit to what you can earn,
Yeah.
and the time is yours. And sometimes that's not a good thing because people can let that
I
go.
know.
but
It's
but yeah, it's a balance because there's
yeah.
just there's a lot of times where you need that break, but then you feel guilty for taking the break, and
Hmm.
it's a funny business.
Yeah, the other day my grandma, she was like, she's like, she texted me, she's like, hello, it's 9 o'clock. Are you still sleeping? And I was like, no, grandma, she's like, she's like, you're doing, she's like, very well for yourself. And you don't even have to wake up, at the crack of dawn anymore. And I was like, oh, thanks. So, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
great. So, did you do online class or in person?
I did in person. So I went to a real estate school here in Salem, which was amazing.
Is
It
that
was a great experience.
Mark Webb?
Mark Webb's
Yep.
Real
Yeah,
Estate
he's great.
Academy,
Yep.
such a cool guy. He helped me through a lot. I was going through a lot when I got into real estate school. My mom had just passed away. I had to take a break to kind of figure things out. I had made it through all my 150 hours of training courses, um, but I was going through courts and the systems and probate
Oh,
and dealing with
geez.
attorneys, and it was just a huge mess. I was trying to save my mom's house, which I do own now, so I was able to buy it from out of the estate, and it was just a lot that I had to deal with at that time. So I had to put off testing for my exam. But Mark was like right there the entire time, just, walking me through it. And he's like, just come in, even though you've already done your lessons and stuff, just come in for those refreshers, sit in
Mm,
on a new class. It's fine, and yeah, I made it through.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's a lot to deal with, 150 hours of study, and I'm sure dealing with your mom and
Yeah, and my
that's
family.
yeah.
And that's another reason why, too, because I was still working at the bank for a while, and my grandmother needed me. She had this her second daughter that she's lost. And
Mm,
so me, I'm like might as well be one of her daughters, and she was going through a tough time, and I was like, I have to be there for her. There's just no question about it. She has doctor's appointments, she has all kinds of stuff. Like, there's no way for me to be able to give my family what they need, because I was thrown into this role that I wasn't ready for. I took on my mom's step, especially because that house was the family hub. That was where everybody gathered. So now it's my home, and now that's still where
wow.
everybody gathers. And so I took on this huge responsibility, and my grandma being one of them.
Yeah, so does she live with you guys?
She did live with us, but she currently got herself a little condo out in Woodburn. So
Oh, nice.
it's in a senior states like community. So she's very very happy there.
Right.
Hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.